nonprofit organizations are a little bit like polar bears, an endangered species. Why do I say that? Because over 50% of them at any one time will have less than 1 month in cash reserves. So I'm Jaana Rehnström from the Kota Alliance. We are a New York City-based nonprofit organization, and we work with other organizations and women entrepreneurs to increase gender equality and women's empowerment. We are kind of the glue that holds people and organizations together to improve women's lives, both locally and globally. I was born in Finland. Now, no country is 100% perfect, but Finland is known for gender equality, for good healthcare and free education. And I was a beneficiary of that. I got a great education. I went to medical school. I became a doctor. And during my student days, I was also a human rights activist. And that's how I met my husband, who was an American, and landed in New York. And I became an obstetrician gynecologist. And during my years of seeing patients, I heard so many stories from women from all different backgrounds and from all over the world. And so many issues intersecting, race, gender identity, sexual identity, and of course, economic, class differences. And it just felt like there were so many inequities, and why shouldn't all women have the same opportunities that I had? At one point, I started attending the meetings around the Commission on the Status of Women, which meets every year for a couple of weeks in March at the UN. And those meetings were quite fascinating. And they were attended by thousands of women who descended on New York from all over the world and from all over the US. And there would be, African women in their beautiful traditional dress, and Indian women in their saris. And in between meetings, they would be running around trying to talk to others and learn from others. They were curious about how they handled their issues, but there was really nowhere to meet. And at the same time, New York-based organizations I knew were often working in silos on similar issues, very important issues, but not really connected to each other, and in fact often competing for the same resources, the grants, the donations. And then at the same time struggling to pay high rents and minimal salaries. So we decided to establish the Kota Alliance. And it is kind of the glue that holds these organizations together. And our slogan is, we incubate collective impact. That's what we try to do. And so we currently have about 70 partners, and we've had all kinds of events and courses and classes. And of course, during COVID, we pivoted like everybody and started doing things virtually. But there's still a need, there's always going to be a need for in-person meetings and gatherings and events. And so we want to scale up at this point. It's time to do that and to establish our own space, our own sustainable and permanent space, which we're going to call Kota Nest. And this is for programs that are run by our partner organizations, partners such as the one run by Dawn, who is a charismatic former EMT, who she does also these public speaking courses for women who have suffered, domestic abuse or other trauma. Then there's Lana, who is a very warm and down-to-earth mentor of low-income women, teaching them financial literacy, digital literacy, and career counseling, those kinds of things. And for instance, Ivy, who is a very empathetic and inspiring coach for justice in women. And there's many more. So at this point, we are looking for co-founders who can help us establish Kota Nest. That being investors who can invest about $100,000 or more into this project. It's going to be amazing, and we want you to be part of it. So if that's you, get in touch.